evening and welcome to my presentation video. So first of all, let me walk all of you through the chapters in my research paper. There are 5 chapters in total, where the first chapter is the introductory chapter. So for the second chapter, I would discuss about IDPs and also the guiding principles. And in third and fourth chapters, I would discuss about IDPs, laws and policies which are available in Georgia and Colombia. For the final chapter, I would just conclude everything. Now, my chapters actually reflected 3 questions which I seek to understand in my research paper. Firstly, I would like to understand the background of IDPs and the guiding principles. Secondly, I wish to find out the influence that the guiding principles has towards IDPs, domestic IDPs laws and policies. And thirdly, I've chosen Georgia and Colombia to find out whether their IDPs laws and policies comply with the guiding principles. So now, who is an IDP? The guiding principles defines an IDP, but more accurately, it actually describes who an IDP is. In short, IDPs are people who are forced to flee their homes due to many reasons. Among them could be armed conflict, but they remain within their own home country. So internal displacement issues are usually neglected as compared to refugees issues, simply because IDPs do not cross the borders of their own countries like refugees to seek for safety and security in another different country. However, this does not mean that internal displacement issue is not serious. As a matter of fact, by the end of 2019, there were about 41.3 million IDPs, which is higher than the number of refugees who which are only 25.9 million in total. So the high number of IDPs raise concerns towards the legal protections available for IDPs. Thus, this is when the guiding principles come into place. For IDPs, this United Nations document serves as some sort of Bill of Rights towards them. It was introduced in 1998 and it comprises 30 principles in total. So, however, it is not a treaty or a legal document, therefore it does not have any binding effect upon any state. Essentially, the 3 principles inside this document are derived from existing principles of international laws, international customary law and international humanitarian law. So it is quite unique in a sense that it restates the existing principles of law and it tailored it to the condition of being internally displaced. Now, it is important to understand the influence of the guiding principles towards domestic laws and policies about internal displacement, because it is opined that that is the only way to ensure its compliance, since the guiding principles itself is not binding. So generally, the international community do accept the guiding principles. After it was introduced, many countries started to refer to the guiding principles in their domestic laws and policies with regards to IDPs. This includes Georgia and Colombia. So for Georgia and Colombia, they have been dealing with internal displacement for a very, very long time, mainly due to armed conflict. Because of this, Georgia and Colombia actually have in place existing laws with regards to IDPs even before the guiding principles are introduced. So because of the government in these 2 states are actually quite committed as well to deal with IDPs, that after the guiding principles come into place, they started to review the existing legislation to ensure that it complies with the guiding principles. What I found is that on paper, the laws and policies in Georgia and Colombia do comply with the guiding principles, And in a way, they are actually better than the guiding principles because the principles are all quite vague in a sense that it does not provide implementation guidelines, stuff like that. But take Georgia for example. In its laws on IDPs, it provides for the IDPs registration procedure. So this exceeds the guiding principles. In fact, both Georgia and Colombia also have specific agency and ministry that is dedicated to deal with IDPs. So again, on paper, the laws and policies in these two places are influenced by the guiding principles and they do comply with the guiding principles. But of course, its effectiveness are another story because a law is only as effective as its enforcement, right? But I wouldn't be touching on this in my paper since to measure an effectiveness of law would require me to go to that country itself to conduct my study. Now I would move on to challenges that I have faced in the course of writing this paper. So the challenges that I face, actually they are all related to each other somehow under the umbrella of under the heading of losing motivation. So firstly, it actually started when my laptop broke down, which was in March. So from there on, I had to continue doing my works on my phone. It was quite difficult for me to adapt because it is obviously much more easier to type on a physical keyboard as compared to touching a virtual one on your phone. So it led me to lose motivation to proceed with my works. And secondly, in my researching process, there were too many materials with similar content. It doesn't help with my research because essentially they are all talking about the same things. So in a way, it also caused me to lose motivation as well. And lastly, this might be a minor one, but it still adds up to my mental stress in doing my research paper. So the third one is poor internet connection. I've been struggling with poor internet connection since I'm now back in my hometown. So every time I tried to do my research, I would be encountering internet problem, which the internet could be crashing, something like that. In a way, it's making me stressed and losing motivations as well. So, but apart from all of these challenges, I'm generally okay with my research paper. So I think that's all for my presentation. I hope you guys are clear with whatever I have delivered, and if there is any part which requires clarification, please feel free to ask during the Q&A session. So again, thank you very much for your attention. That's all from me. Bye.